Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. Today we're looking at Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. You see, hiding underneath all that 19th century prose is this incredible model for a system of social governance, one that doesn't need walls or weapons, because it runs on public shame. And believe me, that system is just as powerful today as it was back in Puritan Boston.
So, right off the bat, we're not going to treat this book like some simple story about sin and redemption. Instead, think of it more like a diagnostic tool. It's almost like an instruction manual, right? It peels back the curtain on the hidden mechanics of social control and shows us exactly how a community can engineer conformity.
Okay, so the setting. We're talking 1640s Boston, and it's basically the perfect laboratory for what we're looking at. I mean, this was a society designed from the ground up, where a community's survival and its moral purity, they were seen as the exact same thing. This wasn't just a town, it was a project.
And make no mistake, this was a true theocracy. The whole idea, the core ideology, was that they were on this divine mission. They had a common purpose that bound every single person together. Social order wasn't just about following laws, it was about fulfilling a sacred duty.
And this quote, it just brilliantly illustrates the central challenge they faced. I mean, a city upon a hill, the whole point is that everybody's watching. So when you're living in a society that's that visible, there's just no line between your private life and your public life. Every single action is on display, which sets the stage for a really unique and powerful kind of control. And all of this sets the stage for the core idea we're digging into here. The system of governments in the Scarlet Letter doesn't primarily rely on physical force. It uses something way more sophisticated and way more scalable. It uses the technology of public shame.
Think of it this way. This governance technology, right? It's all about controlling people from the inside out. And Hawthorne himself points out its key instrument. It's not a weapon or a prison cell, it's the public scaffold, which he doesn't just describe, he explicitly calls it a machine.
Now, that comparison to the guillotine, that is so important. What Hawthorne is telling us is that public visibility, just the collective gaze of the community, can literally be turned into a weapon. This penal machine doesn't chop your head off, it severs you from the community. And in a society like that, that was basically a kind of death.
So how does this machine actually work? Well, if you look closely at the story, you can start to see 4 clear patterns, you could even call them rules, that keep this whole system of shame running effectively. Okay, first up, visibility is control. Think about it. Hester Prynne's Scarlet A, it's not just a punishment, it's more like a tracking device. It makes her sin permanently visible, and that turns every single person in the community, strangers, kids, you name it, into an enforcer of her punishment. There's just no off switch.
All right, second, you have these moral narratives that constantly reinforce the system. The official story about sin and shame gets told over and over again from the pulpit. And here's the really tragic irony, right? The Reverend Dimmesdale, a secret sinner himself, is the one up there delivering these powerful sermons that uphold the very system that's crushing the person he sinned with.
So what does all this pressure lead to? Well, it leads to the system's most predictable result, hypocrisy. You see, the system isn't really concerned with eliminating sin. Nope. It's about managing the appearance of sin. And that huge contrast between Hester's public shame and Dimmesdale's private guilt, that shows you that all that hidden torment, that's a feature of this system, not a bug.
And last but not least, the institutions. They protect themselves. The leaders, the magistrates, the clergy, they consistently make choices that just reinforce the system's power. At the end of the day, their goal isn't really mercy or understanding human weakness. It's about preserving the social order and, of course, their own legitimacy as the ones in charge.
So, to really get a feel for what it's like to live inside a system like this, let's use one single, powerful metaphor, something to make it feel a little more real.
Imagine this system creates a permanent spotlight of public judgment. For Hester, that spotlight follows her everywhere. It just flattens her entire identity down to that one letter and completely defines her social reality. There is no shadow. There is no escape. Even when she's completely alone, she can never really escape the glare of that public gaze.
So what this novel really helps us do is shift our perspective. It helps us see that what we call moral authority isn't just some abstract truth about right and wrong. It can actually be a meticulously designed system of control, one that has its own rules, its own tools, and its own goals.
And that, of course, leaves us with a final, really important question. If we accept that these systems of shame are still very much alive and operating all around us, then we have to ask ourselves, who's operating the spotlight today? And what exactly are they trying to make us see?
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind crisis and perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a longer, audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.